Alright, hello everyone and welcome to yet another edition of Mike and Aid. Is it Mike and Aid? Is it Aid and Mike? Aid and Mike's Monday Night Wars. So yeah, been a little while longer than we intended, but on the plus side, Mike is finally back home.
Yeah,
He's finally got back into his own house.
Back in my own house, things are good. Bit tired from work, but I'm a happy camper now. I watched, what was it called, this thing we watched? Fall Brawl.
Yeah, Fall Brawl.
War Games. Was it Fall Brawl?
It's Fall Brawl, and then War Games is like the main event or something. So it's a bit weird. It's like a double barrel thing.
Obviously, I've been watching the other ones pretty hammered and pretty depressed.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll get into it, but I actually really enjoyed this to a point.
Alright, well, yeah, I mean, we'll get onto that in a second, but I mean, as always, just as your
I'm feeling good.
Just as your women trouble gets sorted out. Yeah, I ran into a whole world of hurt at the weekend, but I mean, that's kind of sorted now.
But you're better at compartmentalising this?
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
so you're all...
I mean, I did do a little bit of drinking alone and watching Dawson's Creek on Tuesday. Not ideal, but not bad actually. Not a bad evening. Let's not kid ourselves.
I did a lot of at my low points watching those talent show auditions. You know, where it's some guy who looks like he's going to be shit. He's usually...
Oh, yeah.
And then, like...
The Susan Boyle effect.
Yeah, and that made me feel...
Just
I wouldn't
slightly
say good,
worse.
But, no, it made me feel hopeful in humanity.
No, I mean, season 3... Season 3 of Dawson's Creek is currently my go-to move. Yeah. It's alright, season 3 of
Don't get caught up in it, because...
Yes, I'm familiar with it. Anyway...
You can become separated from reality.
I really could as well. But anyway, I've not so far, so I think we're okay. So yeah, so we'll get into War Games, Fall Brawl, whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's more wrestling to cover than there's been before. We'll do the charts and all that shit in our next one for the Nitro and Raw, literally the day after. I think we can all assume that they were pretty much the same, you know, in that 1 day gap. But yeah, so like you say, just as a general thing, I thought it was alright.
So because I now associate the last few things that we watched with depression, I really put this off. So I've been like hammered at work recently, so like I've struggled to fit this in, but I really put off watching it.
Yeah, okay,
like
well,
it's good
that it wasn't terrible, so we can get back on the wagon. But anyway, so right, let's start off. So War Games starts, and there's a few bits at the start. So they do a vignette about, you know, the Dungeon of Doom and their feud with Hulk Hogan. And remember when we were discussing the Shark previously, Earthquake, back in the day, and you were like, so what? His gimmick is he's an actual shark, and I was
he's
like,
also got teeth painted on his face.
Yeah, and like there's a bit where he's like biting someone in the ring. Like, I think he's supposed to be an actual shark walking about, which I found a bit weird. Mm-hmm. But you know, I mean, he's doing it. That's fine. There's no Mongo or Bischoff on this one.
No, that's why it felt like a different.
It did. They kept Bobby the Brain. But
I preferred what's his name?
Shit, I did write this down, I think. No, forgot his name. It's the other one.
Schiavone?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Is it Tony Schiavone?
Tony Schiavone, yeah.
Tony.
They also had, I don't know if he was on Nitro, I don't remember being. They've got Buffer doing the ring announcing.
Yeah,
I mean, he's over it, like, if you're not in England. I mean, basically, he does ring announcing.
Was he big at this time as well?
I don't know. I mean, like, they had a fair bit of cash.
Was he just bought in for pay-per-view?
I think he was just brought in for pay-per-view. I'm sure we'd have brought it up before. But anyway, so that's how we are. The other thing is, apparently there was some kind of pre-show event. I know WWE do that a lot these days. But during the pre-show event, the Giant, you know, Andre the Giant's son, who is not in any way his son, has apparently run over Hulk Hogan's prized motorbike with a monster truck. You know, as you do.
Yeah, they said that.
Yeah,
just weird. Is the Giant like is he in the Dungeon of Doom, or is he a contractor or what? I mean,
no, I think he's I think he's in there. I think that's the deal. I'm not sure why he's not in the match. But actually, this does bring us to what was, in my opinion, like literally the biggest fault with this whole pay-per-view. Not so much the night, but running up to it. I had no idea what the hell was going on. So basically, like, you
With
got
the
there.
rules.
Just out of, yeah. So, like, you got there, and there were 2 rings.
Yeah, no,
like,
I being a bit slow and cooking noodles at the same time trying to watch it. 40p noodles, and I was doing that and making myself chicken and salad cream sandwich that I folded in half. So I only really caught on that there was 2 rings about a quarter of the way through it. And I'm sure they didn't explain that to
No, they,
me.
like, and this was the thing, so they didn't explain why there was 2 rings. They basically, the rules of Fall Brawl, not Fall Brawl, War Games, which is the main event, were never explained. They weren't explained in the run-up, they weren't explained during the thing. At some point they get round to telling you, and I'll let you know when it was as we go through. But it was a real, like, the whole thing was a bit like,
and the ring was only there for that match.
Yeah, I'm like,
Didn't aid any other match.
no,
really.
not at all. And like, I mean, obviously you couldn't bring out another ring for the main event, so it kind of just sits there. But if you compare that to the WWE, like, whatever you think of the 2 companies and stuff, certainly at this point, the WWE are doing a much better job of making sure you know what's going on. Like, obviously we've only watched for 1 Raw so far, but in that single episode of Raw, they explained that triple header match, you know, where anyone can win. They explained
it's a bit foggy in my head now.
Yeah, but during it, they explain it 8 or 9 times.
No, I mean for my own personal demons.
Yeah.
Not
Obviously, but the point is they won't let you forget it. They keep hammering it home until you kind of want them to stop. But it's better than watching half a pay-per-view with no idea how the main event works. That's just bizarre. Plus, the other thing as well was like I had no idea what matches were coming. I knew the main event, and I knew Flair against Arn.
I knew Flair and Arn. I know. So the first one, if I recall correctly, was it Flying Brian versus Johnny B. Bad?
It was, yeah. So I mean that bit does bring us on to the first match, and so I mean I said I enjoyed the pay-per-view overall. Mm-hmm. This match I really did not enjoy.
See, I did enjoy it.
I was going to say there's 2 matches here, yeah. So basically,
but also I because I'm not a wrestling historian, but I've picked up tidbits in my time. So was this? I wonder if this was after Brian Pillman had the car accident.
Not sure.
Because I remember watching him as a kid on Worldwide, and he had those tiger little knickers.
Yeah, you brought this up last time,
and he used to fly about a lot. And in the first match that we saw him with Jushin Liger, he was kind of being a cruiserweight a bit. Where in this one there were a few Frankensteiners and things like that, but he was more of a, I don't know, he didn't do a lot of flipping around in this.
No, he didn't. But
also, he turned heel within the match.
He did, yeah. Like, to be fair, like, basically this match, like, so the original result of the match, it was for the television championship, was it? No, it's for the number 1 contender for the championship.
For the US.
For the US, sorry. And like it had a 20-minute time limit. I like, in my entire time of watching the WWE, I've never seen a Broadway time limit draw. Like, but this one,
that's not a bad thing. I quite like the surprise because of the way we've got used to watching wrestling now, or maybe I have just in my own head. I was expecting a 10-minute match, nothing special, a bit shit, and then we move on. But it kept going on and on and on.
It really did.
And the story of the match was because they kept doing. There were a lot of moves in that match. You know, where they both kind of had the same idea. Yeah. And they kind of cancelled each other out. And I quite like that.
Yeah,
that story.
I think in retrospect that's probably true, but that wasn't how I saw it during the match. Like, all I could think, like the particularly Johnny B. Bad's intro, it went on forever. Like, it took him like 2-3 minutes from like.
Also, I've not got a problem with Johnny B. Bad, but what is he? Is he?
I don't know.
Is he?
I think
not
he's
a transvestite, but I mean, what's going on?
I think he's supposed to be some kind of pretty boy. You see, I think.
No, he's obviously heavily based on Little Richard.
Yeah, I think
Now,
he's
was Little
supposed to be
Richard
a face, though.
Was Little Richard? Did he?
I don't know. I don't remember Little
I think
Richard.
he was gay, wasn't he?
I fuck knows. I have no idea. I only remember Little Richard from.
He wore a bit of makeup, maybe.
From a film possibly called Baked Alaska. It's got Russell Crowe in. Some guy makes basically. It's got Russell Crowe in. It's not a bad film actually. It's about ice hockey. So this other guy who's not Russell Crowe leaves his hometown where they play ice hockey on like an actual frozen pond, and like that whole thing is nobody beats us on a pond. So this guy who was like a dweeb in high school, he goes out and like he becomes a success and he organises for the New York Rangers to come and play them on a pond, and like basically it's a bit weird. He's trying to get acceptance from his hometown, and Russell Crowe has to explain to him, look mate, you know, while this is cool, like everyone's not cool with it because if they beat us on a pond, we have to stop saying nobody beats us on a pond. But anyway, so
is it worth my while watching?
Yeah, it's good. Right, but they get Little Richard in, and he's like singing or something, and basically someone convinces him, even though he's dead cold, to take ages to sing the national anthem, so that the New York Rangers players will be colder than they used to, or something. Also, actually, it's got Mike Myers in as a commentator, and he does a fine turn as a commentator in it. It's worth a watch.
Also, Johnny B. Bad is Mark Mero, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
And I recently watched you know what Mark Mero does now? Is it Mero or Mero? I'm going to call him Mero.
Let's call him Mark Sable.
Alright, Mark Mero. He like goes around schools now. You know, telling them to
in a creepy way. Or?
No, he does that weird American thing where they, you know, kind of
don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, but tell their
life my next
story.
Point. Don't smoke crack. It's from the Waterboy. Another good film.
Yeah, there's a speech on YouTube that has been watched quite a lot, and he goes on about how his mum was always there for him and stuff, and he gets all these kids crying.
Oh,
it's pretty emotional. I enjoyed it, but it's a bit freaky for our taste, isn't it? Because we're not used to that kind of evangelical stuff.
But anyway, coming back to the match, circling back to the match. So two things actually. Yeah, so Johnny B. Bad's entrance went on for much longer than there was any need to, and there's a bit during his entrance where he's like throwing frisbees into the crowd.
Also, he's got like a massive, what do you call it, party popper?
Yeah, like it's all weird. But there's a bit where he's lobbing frisbees into the crowd. Like he's got two, so he lobs one in. Second one, he hits the turnbuckle. Like he fails to get it into the crowd. It just hits the turnbuckle and flops on the floor. He has to go back and pick it up and throw it again. To be fair to him, he styles it out quite nicely. But it's a real moment of like it's like, you know, when you're throwing paper into a bin and like you know you're just dicking about. You're doing it from like a metre away and someone sees you miss and you just sat there thinking.
Does he acknowledge it?
Fuck. Yeah, he does. And you've got to. Everybody saw it.
That's all right then if you acknowledge it, isn't it? But his special move, from what I gather, is a punch.
That's one of them. There's like 8.
But you know he's like got Golden Gloves boxing.
Yeah.
I remember watching him when I was younger, and they used to bring that up a lot.
Yeah, they mentioned it at the start of the thing as well. There's another wrestler who it was mentioned about at some point as well, but I can't remember who it was now. Anyway,
what about what
the Golden Gloves thing? Can't remember for the life of me who it was, but anyway, yeah. So the actual match, as I say, it plays out for the 20 minutes, like you say, and then basically the ref says, because it's for a number 1 contender, there has to be a result, so we're going again.
Bobby Heenan claims he's never seen this ever happen before.
Yeah, which I'm sure he probably hasn't. Maybe I don't know. I trust Bobby Heenan. But the thing was, leading up to the actual time limit for about 2 minutes, but everything after the time limit is actually a really good match. Like, it's real decent.
I enjoyed it. Probably when Pillman turned heel, I really got into it then. But, you know, different horses for different hay.
Yeah, fair enough. But, like, I felt like the match generally, with the intro and everything, was basically they had a runtime kind of planned out for the pay-per-view and came up, like, 20 minutes short. And we're just like, you two are going to have to wrestle for quite a long time now, lads.
Well, I don't know, because not
Felt
being
really
a wrestling
strung out to
aficionado,
me.
I don't know how they did pay-per-views back then. I can't really remember properly, but I think what made it better for me was the shock that it wasn't 10 minutes. It was like, oh, this is going on. This is going on.
Oh yeah, well, like I say,
I'm overcooking the 40p noodles here. I better pay attention.
I just couldn't. Yeah, just.
But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Second half really good. First half not good at all. But as always, Bobby Van Heenan quote of the day. There's a bit where the other guy, Shivani, is telling him how Sting is the US champ, so they're gonna wrestle him.
Apparently, Johnny B. Bad's mentor.
Yeah, exactly.
That, yeah.
So Shivani was saying how Sting trained him and everything, and taught him everything he did and all that stuff. To which Bobby Van Heenan says, so Johnny B. Bad is Sting's pet, which I thought was hilarious, because yeah. But unfortunately, the actual title match is on Saturday Main Event or whatever it's called. The WCW
will show us a bit on Nitro.
Yeah, no, they won't. They never do. But so I mean, the title's not going to change hands anyway, so fuck it, who cares? But we will miss that, which is odd because so far, I mean, we've only seen 2 Nitros, but the fact that Sting's US champ has been pretty irrelevant to the fact that he's one of Hulk Hogan's cronies.
Well, we'll see what they do when it becomes a longer show, because at the minute, it's only 45 minutes, isn't it, without adverts?
Oh, I didn't like the finish either of
See, I think they fucked up the finish a bit, because basically they collided and they both did a crossbody on each other. But the way it worked, Pillman had the momentum, so Johnny B. Bad had to kind of throw him back a bit on the floor, and then he got the win.
Yeah,
I assume it should have been, because it looked a bit messy.
It looked very messy, yeah.
But I enjoyed that it wasn't a special move.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like
That's
to
what
think...
I hate about modern wrestling.
It's the only way to win. I'd say that as well, but I didn't like this one. Yeah, false finishers, like people kicking out of someone's finisher is like, again, I don't want to get all snobby about it, but it's just such a cheap way to build tension in a match that it's like it just makes me think, what, do you have no other ideas, guys? Is that what's happening here?
Also, it becomes meaningless, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. Like it's a finisher. No, it isn't. It's never finished anyone.
So I don't know, when we get watching more stuff, I guess I'll be able to make an objective opinion, but
yeah,
I think I just enjoyed this because it's the first wrestling I've seen where I've not felt lower than the belly of a snake.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. I didn't feel that low myself, but I wasn't feeling high when I watched this at all.
No, I was just, finished work, came home, put on this thing that I'd been avoiding doing for a while, thought it was just going to be a real ball breaker, and was like, actually, this is a decent match.
I think one thing to say about it as well, it's like it did seem like after the first match and what we'll discuss in a second, it was real good after that. I did enjoy it. So anyway, there was a quick Ric Flair promo. I mean, it's Ric Flair promo. You can't knock that, Jazz. Like, he does a fine job.
With Mean Gene as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, the only thing I've ever thought about Flair's promos as a knock on him is they're a bit shouty, but at the same time, they're also great, so,
I enjoy the shoutiness.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of different, it's his thing, so yeah. Can you pass me a beer, Mike? On an unrelated side note. But after the promo is...
did they do the vignette this time?
Which vignette? Oh, the Arn against...
Building that match up.
I'm not sure if it was now or a little bit later when Arn had his one, but the vignette was really good, actually.
Vignette was superb.
Yeah. Like, basically, if I had been around... if I had bought this pay-per-view, rather than watching it on the network, which I do pay for, so, I mean, technically.
Technically you do.
But, like,
I'm not paying for it yet. I think I'm still on my free...
Oh, nice,
month.
nice. Why don't you just try logging on as me so you don't have to pay?
Oh, I didn't say that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, I'm a...
No, I mean, it's a tenner a month. It's not breaking the bank.
Anyway. We'll talk about that when we...
Yeah, fine. So, anyway, so moving on from that was... actually, sorry, what I was saying was if I bought this pay-per-view, I had bought it to watch Arn against Ric Flair. That's what I was paying for.
Depends what age I was, to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
I'm
assuming
my dad
like
to buy it, I'd be.
Yeah, to see Hulk battle the Dungeon of Doom. But anyway, so after this is one of the strangest things I've ever witnessed on a pay-per-view. Like, in so many ways. So it was a guy called Cobra who comes out in army gear.
Have you ever watched the film American Ninja?
No, I have not. No.
There's like various sequels. I think I've watched a few. They used to be on Bravo a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, that guy reminded me a lot of him.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he comes out, he's army geared up, and Tony Schiavone, or whatever his name is.
Was G.I. Joe big at this time?
Must have been.
Or Action Man?
But it turns out Cobra isn't in the army. He's a member of the CIA.
Yeah, that made... I was...
It was fucking bizarre. But anyway,
he must be a bit like a Jason Bourne guy.
Well, yeah, but... So what was dead strange about this, though, was he's fighting a guy called Sergeant something Pittman. I forgot his first name.
Pete Pittman.
I don't think it was Pete, but... Anyway, it was Pittman.
It was something like that, though.
It was a nothing.
What's the word when there's...
alliteration.
Yeah, it was that.
Okay, so, but... And, like, he's another army guy. And, like, they kept going on about how they were all adversaries and this was a real grudge match. And
my favourite bit
I've never seen either of them before. I've watched at least 2 weeks of your programming. I don't know who they are. I don't know what they want.
So this Cobra guy, he's standing in the ring. And, Pete Pittman's music comes on.
Yeah.
And just Pete Pittman... Well, I thought it was Pete Pittman.
Yeah, exactly.
But apparently it wasn't.
It
was just
Pitbull Pittman. That was what they called him.
Right.
Like, he had a different first name, but it was Sergeant something Pitbull Pittman.
So this young lad comes out, and apparently it's not Pete Pittman. It's Bobby Ray said it's a member of his platoon.
Yeah, because he's got one, as you would.
And he comes out, distracts the Cobra. And then Pete Pittman is in the other ring because they're next to each other, behind him, doing that thing that people do under nets in films, in montages.
There's a bit before that where I think the term is, is it repels off from the ceiling to the ring?
Oh yeah, he does.
So he comes down on like a climbing rope. He like abseils down without a wall to push off.
The thing that Shawn Michaels comes down in what WrestleMania is that?
That's...
Oh my God, Shawn Michaels!
That's him against Brett, so that's what, 12 or 13?
It's the Iron Man one.
Yeah, it's 12 or 13, I think. I can't remember which.
So, he abseils down. That's not, he doesn't abseil. There's no
I think
wall.
the word is repel, but I'm not positive.
Well, he repels himself onto the adjacent ring.
One thing to point out about him repelling himself down is, like, it sounds really, really cool and kind of edgy, and the commentator's like, oh my God, look at the risk he's taking. He's literally going slower than a very small slug. Like, he couldn't be going slower if he tried. It gets ridiculous.
But
Cobra is still distracted by this guy. It's been 20 minutes, mate. Just have a quick look around, see what's going on. Like, I don't know what the guy is saying. I assume he's just going, nah, mate, not coming out. Nah, mate.
That's talking army stuff, huh?
Yeah, but obviously the crowd are going nuts, and at no point does Cobra bother to investigate. I assume he's got.
But what I like about when he gets to the ring, he does the how do you describe it? The army crawl.
Yeah, like he does
the assassin. You know,
yeah,
I don't know what would you describe it as?
I don't know. It's like,
you know, when they've got those nets in the army films,
and you
training,
go under them, yeah.
And they go under them. So he does a bit of that.
It's quite a slithery movement.
Yeah. What I find hilarious about it is, though, just it'd be quicker just to walk.
Yeah, he's not.
The Cobra's not seen you come abseiling down on a fucking.
You're all right, mate. Yeah. So my next note on this, by the way, this refers to Pittman. Pittman wins it with an armbar. My next note is just for words.
In about 5 minutes.
Just my next note is wins in like a minute, thoroughly pointless. Like
he strangles him first with bullets.
Yeah. So actually, when he creeps up behind him, he strangles him with like an ammo chain thing. But as a match, it is completely and utterly worthless.
Just repeat that. This is wrestling.
It is wrestling, yeah.
Cobra gets strangled from behind with an ammo chain, and then does that move that Ronda Rousey does. It's an armbar,
It's
isn't
an
it?
armbar, yeah.
Yeah, Ronda Rousey does that.
I mean, I would have gone with Del Rio, but
Alright,
yeah, she does also do it. There's no two ways about that. So, I mean, that's right. It's
I wasn't aware before this that those human beings existed.
exactly, yeah. And that was one of my things about... That was the big thing with the pay-per-view. Like I was just like, what's happening here, then? Then it was over, so I didn't care that much, but...
But it fitted in for War Games, didn't it?
I suppose, yeah, maybe that's why they added it in, yeah, 'cause it was an army thing. So anyway, after that weird little kind of aside, we had that dead weird Paul Orndorff thing.
Oh, that was superb. Who was that geezer?
It's written it, who is Gary Spivey? Not sure who he is. He's off some psychic show from what I picked up.
Yeah, from what I picked up, but is he...
I don't know, because he had a weird dodgy wig on. Anyway, so basically it's...
Is he a comedic character, or was that him being himself?
I mean, the wig made him look comedic. He looked like Marwan Fellaini with strangely white hair, and only being about 4 foot tall.
He reminded me of Elton John.
Yeah.
In, what's that video? Is it Candle in the Wind, where he's dressed a bit? He's a bit silvery, basically.
Could be, I like Elton John, but I don't watch his videos, I'll not lie. But anyway, so basically, it's a weird thing where Paul Orndorff is like, oh, maybe I'm not Mr. Wonderful anymore, I keep losing. Then some lad called Gary Spivey comes in and just keeps saying...
He goes a bit nuts, he Arthur fouls it in the locker room a bit.
Who's Arthur Fowler?
If you know it, you know it.
Fair enough.
Have you not seen it was an EastEnders?
I was going to say EastEnders. There's loads of Fowlers in EastEnders.
I think it was a Christmas episode and he has a breakdown.
Nah, don't.
He's not as intense as Arthur Fowler, but...
Yeah, so he's having a bit of a breakdown. Gary Spivey comes in, he pulls him out of it. Just keeps saying to him, you're Mr. Wonderful.
He pulls him out of it.
What's great about it is,
after the end...
while it's happening,
yeah,
he's just going... Like, so he starts going, I'm Mr. Wonderful. He cuts back to the commentators and they're like... That's Paul Orndorff there. Apparently now we've just got to call him Mr. Wonderful. It's like...
No, but Spivey sorts him out as well, because by the end of it, he believes in himself again. He's back.
Yeah, like it was dead weird, but it was all right. So you know what's after that though is Diamond Dallas Page versus Renegade, who we discussed in our first one is for fake Ultimate Warrior and the TV champ.
So he comes to the ring with
Wait, no, before you start, like I'd like you to try and guess what my number one takeaway from this match was. Like one thing struck me above everything else in this match.
That woman's fit.
It is that the Diamond Doll, who is DDP's wife.
Well, ex-wife now.
Ex-wife now, yeah. Is unbelievably fit.
You know what I thought when they first came out? I thought she was Shania Twain. Did you get that?
No, actually I didn't. But I also thought Shania Twain was really fit, as I recall. So.
Oh, I died.
Okay, so just a bit of background, guys. I'm not sure if we had mentioned this. I think we probably did. Myself and Mike are in our early 30s. I'm 33. He's 33 as well now. I'm 34 nearly. I've known him for at least 30 of those years, probably more. He is my best friend, you know. But...
No need for that, not now.
But... if the price of having sex with the Diamond Doll, as she looked in that pay-per-view, was beating Mike to death with a tire iron, Mike would already be dead and my pants would be off.
What? Have you seen her recently?
No, I haven't.
So would you beat me to death for the Diamond Doll 20 years later?
I probably wouldn't beat you to death. Might cause you some grievous bodily harm, though, just in case.
What if she's a bit overweight now?
I bet she's probably not. Oh, come on.
No, because he's into all that health stuff, so she must
she
be a similar...
She left him before then. Anyway, but other than that, the first thing I thought, like early on, was that DDP seemed to be overselling for all he's worth. He seemed to get knocked down by stuff that hadn't hit him and stuff.
I think he was playing the cowardly heel. I'm not sure how much he'd wrestled before this point.
Not a huge amount, I don't think.
Who was that chap in his corner as well?
Oh, Max Muscle or something?
Max Muscle, yeah.
Yeah, he was a weird guy. He looked just like a bodybuilder. But
again, he wasn't like mentioned until about halfway through the match. So I was just like, who's this bloke?
But saying that, like, what I actually wrote down as my next note after the overselling was not a bad match. Like,
no, I liked him.
Yeah, I really liked it.
And you know what? What I thought as well when watching it, This Renegade chap, he's not a bad wrestler.
Alright, so do you want to just read out my note after not a bad match? It basically just says, thought the Renegade was alright. Like, he was decent.
He could do, like, decent moves as well. Like,
yeah,
he
was
good.
good.
He was quick. The match was... Match at a point, you know. Diamond Dallas Page is this cowardly guy. Renegade's on a roll. At the time, I assume he was on a bit of a streak, because when it got past a certain point, they kept mentioning, like, this is the longest he's ever...
Yeah.
I assume he was unbeaten before this match.
He must have been, like... But, I mean, this does feel like... We came in at the moment that it had really fallen off a cliff for Renegade, if you know what I mean.
I assume this is the last we'll ever see of him as a man with a winning record.
Yeah.
I assume he'll become a jobber now.
Yeah.
I assume he'll be a bit Ryback.
I don't see how that could not happen. The other thing was I was loving DDP's celebrations. Like, he was, yeah, it was real good. Like, cowardly heel doing his celebrations when he's won. So he wins with a bit of interference from that Max Muscle guy.
Max Muscle grabs Renegade's leg and from the outside, and then DDP diamond cutters him, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It's not a great diamond cutter, but, you know, gets the job done.
But yeah, I felt... Because you hear a lot about Renegade being a joke, and, you know, the gimmick is a joke, but...
Well, like,
that match,
that's not his fault. He was given, like... Basically, the WCW went, oh, we want, like, an Ultimate Warrior, but we're not getting the Ultimate Warrior. Not yet, anyway. They gave some guy with the look. They absolutely painted that guy into a corner. Because they're like, oh, we're going to make you a fake Ultimate Warrior. But then when
also, on the other side as well, you've got to remember, WWE, they're cool now.
Yeah, but, like...
So that must
and
have
the thing is, once it became clear he wasn't the Ultimate Warrior and stuff... Like, for WCW, they had no choice but to absolutely bury that character. They couldn't just have him still kick about. Like, basically, they made him a joke because they proper used him badly. And, I'm not happy about it.
The only other thing I thought from that was as well, like, when does DDP start taking his shirt off?
Yeah, fair enough.
Not that I want to see his man muscles, just not too keen on guys wearing shirts.
No, I know what you mean. He will do, though, won't he?
Doesn't excite me.
Anyway, so yeah, that was that. Good match, I thought. Well, like, I enjoyed it. I really did. Then we moved on to a bit of tag action. Slightly weird tag match. It was Harlem Heat.
You know, I thought when watching this match, like,
no.
I guess I don't like it. I guess I don't like wrestling. It was really hard hitting, and I don't know if it's a bad match, but I didn't enjoy it. It didn't.
I think I never got into the match itself. There was a lot going on in the background. Apparently, Sherry, who's managing Harlem Heat.
Oh, and yeah,
and what was his name?
Colonel
Robert Parker. So they had a very in love thing going on. I mean, I don't know what the deal was. They kissed and stuff, and apparently that distracted Colonel Parker.
So it was Harlem Heat. One of them's obviously Booker T, and the other's Stevie Ray, who is I think he's real life brother.
Actually, I thought this while I was watching it. I was like, are they really brothers? Because I thought the opposite. I thought they weren't, if you know what I mean. I thought they were just making it up because, you know, why not? But I can't remember why, but I saw a thing pop up on my Facebook. I occasionally get wrestling stuff about wrestlers who had tough upbringings or something. Mm-hmm. One of them was Booker T, and yeah, Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray is really his brother, and he sorted his life out.
Also, they're from Houston, not Harlem.
But
even though the commentators during the match talk about their tough upbringing in New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other two guys, what were their names again?
I haven't got their names. What I have written down is...
Now, one of them was...
wait. I have two weird cowboy-type dudes, and then in brackets, not the smoking guns.
Well, one of them's Dick Slater.
Yeah,
apparently he's...
they're weird, like...
In real life, a genuine hard man. Because I think I heard
They have that look to them, both of them.
I heard a Ric Flair podcast once, and he said, like, Dick Slater's one of the toughest men ever in wrestling. Famously, apparently, in a fight beat up an NFL player.
Fair play to him.
And the other one, in 2010, later turns up as Jack Swagger's dad on an episode of Raw.
Oh, okay.
But I can't even... It's Buck something.
It is Buck something.
They're just a bit rednecky, is my...
Alright, so just to cover a few things I made notes on. As like you say, this match wasn't great. It was probably the low point of the night, wrestling-wise, I thought. But
maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I just don't like that kind of.
Well, I didn't. I mean, in terms of my enjoyment of the actual in-ring action, this was a low point. Mm-hmm. But there were a few things that I noted from it. First is they go on about the hotline you can call quite a bit in this match, which, these days just seems weird. Like, it seems odd that was ever a thing, if you know what I mean. Now, but it doesn't. This was also the match in which they finally bothered to explain how the main event actually works. I've got the rules noted down, but we'll do it just before the main event.
I unfortunately during this match went for a cig and didn't press pause.
Okay, fine. They did. But the thing is, I wasn't really paying that much attention to the commentators, but they did give you some idea of how it worked. But also, this match featured the first actual usage of the second ring, which was Sherry and Parker to kiss. Odd usage of it, but it did happen.
So is this so the manager of the I don't know, is Redneck event? Well, whatever.
Those guys.
The manager of the Redneck people is, I assume, heavily based on Elvis Presley's manager.
Yeah, and definitely.
And Sensational Sherry is Harlem Heat's manager. And apparently before this, they were at there's a thing going on.
She doesn't seem to have aged either, Sherry. I never thought she was that fit, but she's still looking decent.
Word that my head said when I saw her, all right.
Yeah. She's still
so
all right.
But apparently they were having a thing before this.
Yeah.
Obviously, we only started watching Nitro 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so apparently it's a thing before that.
And they...
so actually, just to cover it off, the Nasty Boys interfere and Harlem Heat win. And they take the titles, because apparently these guys were the champions.
The Nasty Boys hit one of the Rednecks with their own shoe.
Do they?
Yeah.
Do they hit him with a belt as well?
I don't know, but the guy who gets pinned gets knocked out by one of the Nasty Boys with his own shoe.
That's awesome. Did the Nasty Boy guy say just afterwards, the shopkeeper and his son? It was a different story.
But in the other... What is that reference?
It's Wayne's World 2. It's the guy they pick up. Shopkeeper and his son. That was a different story. I had to beat them to death with their own shoes. It happens. It's not great, Wayne's World 2. It's nowhere near as good as Wayne's World 1, but it's still alright.
I'll take your word for it.
Not seen Wayne's World 2?
Is Rob Lowe in Wayne's World 2?
No, he's in Wayne's World 1.
No, I don't think I've seen Wayne's World 2.
Is he in Wayne's World 1? Yeah, he's in Wayne's World 1. I think, anyway. Anyway, so that's that. And then there was one last bit where they had an interview with Colonel Robert Parker. Apparently.
Oh, they snog each other in the other ring.
They do, yeah. That happens. And then there's an interview with Parker about whether he thinks that Sherry, was manipulating him or stuff. Basically, I couldn't listen to the words he was saying or take any of it in, because all I could think throughout was, fuck me, how sweaty is Colonel Parker? Genuinely, he's got a handkerchief or something. By the end of it, that thing must have been sopping wet. He is sweating his bollocks off.
He was proper JR suit wearing. He
looked
had
like
a Stetson as well.
He had a hat of some kind. I assume it was a Stetson. He had the weird little, I don't know what they happen in America, but not over here. The little, it's not a tie. It's got two bits that dangle down. The thing Colonel Parker wears.
Seems to
not
be
Colonel Parker, as it Colonel Sanders. Yeah, weird little thing. But yeah, he's got one of them.
Why is he called Colonel?
Fuck knows. He must be a colonel. I don't know.
Was Colonel Sanders in the army?
Yeah, mate. He was. Yeah, he was in the fried chicken department of the army. That might even be true. I've no idea.
He was probably a chef in the Confederate Army, I think.
I mean, it is worth noting that the American South do seem to be pretty liberal with you just assigning yourself an army rank, or willy-nilly. That's fine. If that's how you want to be, then I have no problem
As
with
long as it's legit, that's all I.
So yeah, one final thing with this
about.
was at the end of it they had an advert for Halloween Havoc, which I'm really looking forward to. I'll not lie. And basically they said watch it on video cassette. Like, it's 22 years ago, and like video cassette 22 years ago was just the thing. Now, if someone gave me a video cassette, I'd lob it at their face while screaming the words, "The hell am I going to do with that? What's wrong with you? Are you from the past?"
Unfortunately for the video cassette as well, it is shit.
Yeah, it's real.
So, musically, vinyl's good, isn't it? As in, people still use vinyl.
Well,
Even if it's not, it's
look,
cool.
I'm not a music guy, but like the thing is, yeah, apparently there's something about the sound quality which apparently, you know, I think digitally is better quality, but there's something about it where you can make a case for, because it's just music, you can get a better, well, we don't want it to sound crisp and perfect, and the very slight imperfections that vinyl bring in actually improve the experience. I don't know. I'm not a music guy. I don't know if that's vinyl or not. No, I think vinyl over CD is like the difference between seeing a live performance live and watching it on TV.
Okay.
Like, you know, you can make arguments for either, but you can't really say that TV replicates the experience of a live of being there, because you know it doesn't. But yeah, you're right. VCR, absolutely god
There's just no redeeming features as well.
No,
it was well shit.
It was dead shit. Although I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for the old videotape, because I essentially saw my first porn because one of the videotapes in my house had porn on it, which was just awesome. Best day ever.
Have you got to the bottom of the...
No, this was years ago. What I did do was check every videotape in my house to see if there was any more porn. But I wasn't. It skipped bits and stuff. But, you know, it was better than that.
My mega mix of... It wasn't porn, but it was things I taped off the TV. So Wild Things was on there.
Wild Things was
I
outstanding.
think I had Basic Instincts on there.
I never saw Basic Instinct as a kid. I only saw it as an older
But
man.
just the scenes, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was hard layering that tape.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Enough of that, though.
Yeah, so anyway, so after that was the Flair and Anderson. Actually, I have the words "good build-up vignette" written down here, so...
Russell, the vignette came now.
Yeah, so I assume it did, or I have some kind of... Like, to have been able to accurately predict where my notes would have got up to this point and write it in there seems unreasonable. So, yeah, so it probably did. But yeah, the vignette, as you said, was great. The build-up to this match was great. The match itself...
They kept alluding to ever since Hogan got there.
Yeah.
Flair's, not been himself.
There was a lot of great stuff about this match, including the match itself.
The match was, from my eyes as well, absolutely superb.
It was real good.
They didn't do a lot, but
no,
as in
what I liked about
athletically, but psychologically,
it made absolute perfect sense. Yeah, there was a story to be told there, and the story was, it was two guys who had been dead close having to kind of fight it out. So there was a lot of...
Anderson was the more heavier set fighter. Ric Flair was more of a technician, bit more sneaky. I don't know if he does this a lot, but I did like the fact when he did his front flip thing into the turnbuckle, that he came back and he was actually playing possum.
Yeah,
I think that was my favourite part of my favourite spot of the match, because usually when he does that, he just gets battered.
Actually, one of the things, like, not the match itself, like, the match was really good and I enjoyed it, but one of the things I liked about it as well was there was a sign, someone had a sign in the crowd that said Flair 316. I don't know if that was a thing he'd done, but like that amused me. That did amuse me greatly. I mean, it probably wouldn't have at the time, but like, obviously, like, there is knowledge I have looking back, and yeah. So looking back on it, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. There was some classic flopping from Flair as well. Not a huge amount, but it was in there. I like the end as well. Like I thought the ending was real good. So
Well, just because you're probably a bit more sober than me and you have actual notes, tell them how it ended.
So Brian
And
Pillman.
remind me how it ended.
Brian Pillman comes out after his match, and actually that was another one of the things they did for this. They were like they really focused on the fact that I don't know if they made them or like I mean if I was a wrestler I would have as well. There were a lot of wrestlers sat in the crowd watching the match.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, but they did bill it like it was the first time they'd faced each other.
Yeah, I don't know how accurate that was. Like I'm not that.
But I'm watching it and I'm thinking, man.
But they both sold it as that, and the psychology of the match was great. But anyway, Pillman comes out and he has a bit of an altercation with Flair over the top rope, and Flair turns around. Then Pillman kicks him in the back of the head, and DDT's Flair for the win. So yeah,
superb
good.
DDT, by the way. I've not seen much of Arn Anderson. Like, obviously, I know who he is, but I didn't really have much access to him when I was younger. So, yeah, that DDT is on a par with Jake the Snake's for the snap.
Yeah, he gets good snap. Well, I saw a thing recently, actually. It was one of those which wrestlers are dicks things. It was with Kevin Nash, and basically, like, Arn Anderson came up on that, and he was like, yeah, he's most underrated worker in wrestling history. So I mean, and he is good. You can't take that away from him.
For people who have, like me, who have grown up on a certain type of wrestling, or forgotten because I don't watch a lot of it, how wrestling was in the past. Like that is a beautiful example of how to do a match without doing too much, without risking your health or killing yourself to do really high spots, but the tension was.
Oh yeah, it was incredible. Like I really enjoyed
tricks, the little counters,
and even there was so
one
many.
Guy's on top, no, another guy isn't because a guy's found a clothesline out of nowhere. Just pure wrestling,
And as what I really liked about it as well, like I mean, you're obviously right, but what I liked about it as well was. They always kept in mind the psychology of a match, which was
who they are to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there'd be a lot of a guy going for a move, and the other guy knows him too well, and he's managed to get away from it. And there was like
it was crisp and simple. I don't know,
and it felt like there was I don't know how you convey this like as wrestlers, and I think I mean sometimes it's why it's. It's hard to learn to be like a Ric Flair, for example. But it felt like they were reluctant to actually be fighting each other. Like they kind of knew they had to and they wanted to, but
But that's the brilliant thing. You could, as a viewer, read it how you will. Whether they were reluctant to be fight or they were cautious of each other's moves.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to do this. Oh, I'll counter that. I'll counter the figure four.
Absolutely superb it was. Like it was real good.
But it's hard to explain as a viewer who watches modern wrestling because he did this 360 up. There were no memorable moments.
Yeah, this wasn't luchadors. This was
two men having a fight.
This was grapplers. Yeah, it was two guys having a fight. And that's the thing, you believed it was a fight. And I'm not knocking the luchador style, obviously. Like it's hugely impressive. It's an unbelievable athletic effort. But I think when I watch it, if I ever have a complaint, it is that sometimes the high spots do come at I feel anyway, at the expense of a narrative. So it's just high spot after high spot, and the match feels storyless.
I mean, I guess because from the things that I've watched, like this match isn't even brought up. I assume it's probably not a classic for both men. It's probably not on their greatest hits list, but yeah, it got me this match.
It did, yeah. It proper sucked me in.
Yeah, it sucked me off this match.
One other thing that I thought while watching it was that two things actually. Great emotion from Heenan in it. He did a fine work, and also
I like that he liked both of them a bit.
Yeah, I like the fact that he slightly sided with Arn because he was like, yeah, Rick has been a bit out of order.
Back.
Yeah, like Rick's been a bit out of order. But also, I much prefer the old school railings to the newer barriers. So, you know, when it was like a metal, like almost fence that you'd see at like a festival or something, like a temporary looking metal fence rather than the big plastic barrier thing it is today.
The impact looks more painful.
It does. Like the barriers give you the chance to spear someone through a barrier and it looks a little bit better, but it happens so rarely. Like I want railings back, Mike. I want railings back.
Sound and shake.
Yeah. Don't know what that means.
We'll write for WWE.
Okay, yeah, fine. Let's do that. Because all I could think was shake and bake when you said that. Alright, so anyway, so that was the Flair match. It's a good match. It's worth the pay-per-view. Like, if they did nothing else on the pay-per-view, I wouldn't have felt cheated. Anyway, so after it is essentially the main event, but there's a lot of build-up to this main event. And
aren't you intrigued? Sorry to cut you off, but what was Flying Brian doing? Like, so he was a good guy from my knowledge after the Jushin Liger thing. He turned on this pay-per-view.
Yep.
And then
he got involved in this. Yeah. That is a great point, Mike, and I don't know. Maybe we'll come back to it in a future podcast. I have no idea.
Because I don't know much because I didn't watch a lot of wrestling, but he becomes a big thing after this.
He does.
So I'm after this match when I was watching it, I was thinking, looking forward to seeing the evolution of this.
To be fair, yeah. Like, we'll see how it goes. But on to the main event, Mike. So right, there's a lot of build up to this main event. Now, the first thing I'd say is actually, firstly, I'll explain the goddamn rules to the main event. So it's 2 rings inside a steel cage, but it's like a full mesh steel cage, so it's got a roof as well. And then basically,
it's really low.
Yeah, it is low. So there's a point where Sting grabs it and drop kicks someone. It's low enough to grab. But anyway, so what happens is 2 guys, one from each team, start inside both rings. Then after 5 minutes, there's a coin toss, and whichever team wins the coin toss gets to send a man in. Then after that, every 2 minutes they alternate. So basically, if you win the coin toss, then you'll have, I think it's 3 periods of 2 minutes for having an extra man.
Maybe it's because I'm a retard, but when they were telling us this, because they put up they put up some
graphic,
writing, a graphic. I still didn't know what they were talking about until the match happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, it really wasn't clear. But anyway, and then the only other thing is, the only way to win is if the other team give up. So if they say submission or surrender, they are synonyms, guys. They're the same thing. You don't have to have both.
And again, before the eventuality of a match, I thought that everyone had to give up.
Actually, so did I. Wasn't clear on that either. Yeah, I was like, is that everyone or just one guy? But it is just one guy. Anyway, so it starts, and the first thing we get is actually our first proper look at the Dungeon of Doom since we started. Now, I mean, the first thing to say was the Taskmaster, who's apparently in charge of the Dungeon of Doom, is Kevin Sullivan, who at this point I think is also a booker for the WCW, by the way. But basically, his take on evil seems to be having dodgily drawn on ridiculous eyebrows.
And done that James Bond villain laugh.
Yeah. Now, basically, I mean,
also in the vignette before, because I think, where is this forest that Hulk Hogan ended up in?
I don't know, mate.
It looked like an evil forest, and mate,
fuck knows. But I mean, what I wrote down about this vignette about, because it's mainly Kevin Sullivan, because obviously the Taskmaster, yeah. We'll call him the Taskmaster. So, actually, that's for a stipulation of this as well. If Hogan's team win, he gets 5 minutes in this cage alone with the Taskmaster. Now, I wasn't clear at the time, but given what happened, my understanding is that's not sexual. He wants to fight him. So yeah, anyway.
What I wouldn't do for 5 minutes with the Taskmaster.
Yeah. And it's worth noting.
To be fair, though, if I was put in the room with the Taskmaster, it would be more what he wouldn't do with me.
Yeah.
So I hope
like he is a wrestler, but he does look like a kind of mini-me of Hulk Hogan, to be fair. But one of the thing about the vignette that really got me was that the Taskmaster doesn't quite come off as evil for me. He comes off across as crazy homeless man who's ranting at me on the street. Like,
it just comes across as real bad.
Yeah, it does. And they introduce apparently the Taskmaster's father, who is like, I don't know what his game is, but he's some old fat guy who's had makeup done, so he looks like a slug that has ran into that goo that made the turtles, been made into a half slug, half man, then died and been reincarnated as a zombie with voodoo. It's really, really odd. But he's there. He does summer.
Who, the Taskmaster's dad?
Yeah.
I don't even remember this bit.
It was bizarre. I'd show you a picture, but the people at home won't be able to see it, so, you know, what's the point? But honestly, like, he's just some fat guy with a little bit of makeup on to make him look like he might be dead or something. Don't know what the point of him is. In all honesty, I don't want to know. But yeah, he is there. We're still claiming that the Big Show is Andre the Giant's son. I don't know when we'll stop doing that. I assume we will at some point.
Does Hulk Hogan say something about he felt the power of Andre or something?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he felt Andre, man. Okay, Hulk, you settle back down now. But anyway, so after that slightly weird vignette, we get a little promo with all of the Hulkamaniacs. So in case you don't remember, this is Hulk Hogan, Sting, Randy Savage, and Lex Luger as a guy replacing Vader, who is apparently AWOL. I think he's actually defected to WWF at this point, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so like this promo,
just didn't want to face the Dungeon of Doom.
Maybe this promo is great for a number of reasons.
They're all pumped.
They're all in full-on army gear and camouflage, including Jimmy Hart,
who's waving the American
flag,
and making it a kind of patriotic thing, because they mention
they do keep coming, like, yeah, Hulk Hogan says about Lex Luger that he knew he was red, white and blue. He knew he was made in American made.
So is this America versus evil in an abstract way?
I mean, on some level it always is, but yeah, it certainly seems so. But my other thing about this,
because I thought the Taskmaster, he sounded.
He seemed American. He really did. Yeah. My other thing was that Hulk Hogan makes just probably the greatest sentence ever. He says they've all been drinking Agent Orange, and now they're impervious to pain. I can't stress enough, people at home, that is not how Agent Orange works. At all.
It is if you've got pythons like Hogan.
It isn't. Agent Orange
is a bad thing.
Is a defoliant. Not defoliant as in to take skin off. It removes leaves from trees. It is not something America should be proud of ever having done. Ever. But
if you're Hogan, couple of pints of Agent Orange,
mate, he was
right in the mood.
He was snorting that stuff like it was going out of fashion. I heard. But anyway, yeah, like, that's not how Agent Orange works, lads. Come on, don't be that guy, Hulk. Don't be that guy. Although it would explain the extremely odd colour that Hulk Hogan is. Assuming that Agent Orange is actually orange, I don't know what it is. I mean, you'd assume it is, but maybe it's not.
I don't know anything about Agent Orange or Hulk Hogan's.
Yeah, I mean, all I know is it's deforestant they used to try and smoke out the Vietcong. Anyway, and then they made a massive thing of bringing the cage down. Which took quite a while, actually. I was kind of annoyed about it, but I'll let it go because I can be the big man, Mike. I can be the bigger man. Anyway, but then the match starts, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you here, Mike. I thought this was literally the worst idea I'd ever heard. The whole thing,
logistically as well, because it was really hard for the production team to film it.
Yeah, I have that here. So if you read here, Mike, just to confirm that this is what it says. It says some weird camera work. this was a problem early on, because obviously there's a lot of guys outside the cage, and starting there was just Sting against this Shark guy in the cage.
I felt sorry for the Shark. I felt sorry for Earthquake having to have teeth painted on his face.
We all do, Mike. The other thing was that basically, until everyone's in, and even then for the most part, the fact that there's 2 rings, it gives us like 2 spots. There's one where Shark is draped over both top ropes and someone's kicking him. And there's one where Hogan is punching Zodiac, Bruce for Bad Beefcake, and he's bouncing off the other ropes and coming back and he's hitting him again. That was it for 2 rings. That was all it was for. But what I would say is I'd
love a conversation with Brutus.
Yeah.
I'd love just to say, so Shark he's a shark, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, yeah.
So
Kamala, the face of fear.
Kamala, the face of fear, who's happy in a cage.
Apparently.
Feels
they
right.
question it, yeah.
Yeah, he feels right.
Oh, no, wait, no, Kamala's not the face of fear.
Kamala's the fat black guy who's happy in a cage.
Slightly racist, but other than that,
they do say that because he's in the jungle, so I don't know.
Slightly racist gimmick. It's all right, lads. It was a different time.
Then there's Meng, the face of fear.
Yeah, Ming is the face of fear.
Who is Haku.
He is Haku, and going back to something you were saying earlier, probably really, really hard in real life from what I've heard.
Well,
just
apparently he's the hardest man in wrestling from various podcasts I've listened to. And the Zodiac, who is he from Yin and Yang?
Yeah, the man from Yin and Yang. We're not sure what that means.
Who is
now my assumption here, by the way, is that they've gone with alliteration. So he's called Zodiac. He looks like he's a zebra. He's just got black and white stripes, and that's it.
I mean, maybe I'm naive, but what does the Zodiac mean? I mean, I don't. What's nefarious about the Zodiac?
I don't know, Mike. I honestly have no idea.
He's into his numbers. I don't. So the shark eats people, or bites people. I don't know. He's a shark. It's a violent mammal.
Actually, he doesn't come up in this, but Ming does a thing where he's got this like spike that he like jabs people in the neck with or something.
And he looks scary.
You know, Kamala is a slightly racist African stereotype. I mean, that's fine.
Who's probably a cannibal.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
But the Zodiac, I mean, does he bewitch you with numbers? And I don't.
Yeah, we're not sure what the Zodiac is. The only certainty is that the Zodiac eventually quits. Like, he's the guy who submits eventually to Hogan. But anyway,
he was always going to be the bitch of that.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was indeed. But actually, overall, once this got going, I actually did enjoy the match. Like, I thought it was.
Well, it had inbuilt good psychology because.
Yeah.
Have you explained the rules? Can you do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the good guys lost the toss of the coin.
They did, yeah. So the Dungeon of Doom basically for most of the time had a man advantage.
And so it was Sting and Macho for most of it getting battered.
Yeah.
And there were a few little nice things where, because if you've watched the previous Nitros or listened to us talk about it, Lex Luger was the one who people were doubting.
Yeah.
And him and Macho Man halfway through the match basically started fighting each other. Yeah,
because what happened was Luger accidentally hits Macho or something, and then there's a bit back and forth. It is good, but they get it together, but it is good. And
you like that Hulk Hogan has got...
We'll get on to Hogan in a minute. So what I would say was that I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the Shark Sting stuff. I thought those two did a really good job to start it. There was some stuff with Dungeon of Doom trying to cheat a little bit, which was kind of pointless, but...
he's holding his leg.
Yeah. Can you stop doing that, please? Oh, the refs are powerless. It's, well... because he's just said stop doing it, and he has. But it went on, and, like, it was good. And then Hogan comes in. And, like, I'm not saying it ruined the match. It was obviously but the conclusion we all knew was coming. But I just wanted to point that out, and then I'm gonna let you finish your thought before I say what I think about when Hogan came in. Okay, well, when Hogan came in, for some reason he comes in with something. Like, I don't know what it is. It's some kind of powder or something.
Oh yeah, he comes in with
Like,
I guess it's flour.
yeah, it's
But
that
aren't they
kind of.
saying like, are the commentators like say things like they can smell it and stuff, like
Yeah.
it's some kind of
They suggest
war, some
Yeah.
kind of nuclear, like
Yeah, I
chemical
can't remember what
warfare.
they suggest it is. But
Is it napalm?
I was going to say napalm. I think they suggest it's napalm, which is a fundamental misunderstanding of what napalm is.
Nah, Hogan's got napalm.
He really doesn't, mate. Napalm's horrible. But,
So he's
like,
probably got flour or something.
yeah, but, like, he throws it in people's eyes. Then he bites someone as well, on the face. It's just like, I don't know. I mean, it felt weird because the massive good guy, the guy who's doing it for us, he's basically cheated worse than all of the heels put together.
Don't you find it weird that all the good guys were wearing camouflage makeup?
Yes.
And the Dungeon of Doom did nothing to alter their normal attire.
I found it hugely weird, yeah. Absolutely hugely. Really, really strange. But anyway, so it goes on, and then eventually Hogan puts Zodiac, Boots Rabbit Beefcake, in what is essentially a camel clutch. They don't call it that, but they acknowledge that it's the Iron Sheik's move. I think they just call him Sheik, not Iron Sheik. But anyway, so he then Zodiac quits. So Hogan gets his 5 minutes alone with the Taskmaster, which is it's a kind of just a really weird watch because
He just batters him.
yeah, he's just lobbing him into the cage. And the thing is, maybe if you've been watching for ages and you were up to speed and you knew this guy was evil and he'd made Hogan's life a real hell, it would have been like, oh yeah, good on you, Hogan. But me watching it, I was just thinking, why are you beating up that old guy, mate? Like, it's just weird. That's not on.
Why are you beating up that small, fat old guy
Yeah, that's not cool,
who
mate.
seems to be rubbish?
Yeah, why are you doing this? But then,
But he has
obviously,
made Hogan's life hell, taking him to weird forests and, I don't know,
Yeah.
draining his powers.
I don't know what any of that means. But
Neither do I.
But anyway, so then the Giant, Andre the Giant's kid, the Big Show, comes out and he chokes Hogan a bit and then seemingly murders him.
that was my favourite bit of the whole thing.
Yeah, so
He snapped his neck off.
he twists his head to the point of, like, I mean,
I do like.
surely
I like
die.
at the end. Bobby from Brain Heenan seems delighted about it
He does, yeah.
and laughing at the death of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, it's real good shit. Like, I mean, like,
He comes in and breaks his neck.
yeah. So it's hard to explain without you visually seeing it, obviously, but.
Like a ninja thing, you know, ninjas
Yeah,
like
but-
snap people's heads
Yeah,
off.
you grab the head on either side, and then you pull your hands away so that the head twists all the way round. Yeah, he does that to Hogan, who then is just, he's on the ground, he's laid down, and he is fucking twitching for all he's worth. Like, he sells it pretty well, does Hogan. I
No
mean,
one does spasms better than Hogan.
no, it's spasming, that was the word. But yeah, like, it is weird, because all you can think is, surely you're dead. Why are you still moving? You're dead, mate. Anyway, but the rest of the Hulkamaniacs come out, so that, you know, Andre the Giant's kid can't do it again or whatever. Not sure why they left it until the point that he had actually died.
Because I think secretly they all want him dead.
Yeah, they probably do.
But
I
don't
would.
want to look bad.
Yeah, so, but and then that's the end of the pay-per-view. So yeah, so we never really settled on what we were doing with pay-per-views in terms of like a scoring system. Obviously, Raw and Nitro, we just pick a winner. Maybe we could do the same thing with pay-per-views. They're not on the same week, but obviously when we review the WWE one, we could pick a winner then.
We could do that. I mean, for now,
Can't hurt.
we could just do, would you, if you paid money for that, would you have been happy with what you got?
I would have, yeah.
I would have.
Yeah, I think as like yourself a little bit, WCW your Nitro there was so far it's been a bit of a letdown. I'll not lie. Like it's only been 2, but I've not been wild
This
about
seemed you had a different team, a different feel. No Mongo, thank God.
Hate that Mongo.
I don't know if I hate him, but
No, I do. I want him. I'm gonna hunt him down and shoot him with a sniper rifle because if I'm close enough that he can hit me back, I'm going to lose.
But
Not really gonna shoot anyone.
yeah, it was weird how different it felt from the normal show. It felt like a separate entity.
And I like that in a pay-per-view. I really do. I think
It had pie stakes feel.
it did. Pie steaks.
Pie stakes feel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if I was going to win a pie, I would try harder. There's no two ways about that.
I think I meant high, but yeah, it had high stakes feel, and it seemed different than the normal show. If I'd have paid money for it, I'd have been happy with.
And to be fair, as main events go that are so obviously gimmicky and so like that, I thought it was decent. Like I thought that was more than watchable, that main event. Like I had real concerns about it. I thought it would be, especially when I learned there were 2 rings, I thought it would be one of the worst things I'd ever sat through. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And obviously Flair Anderson was a real quality.
But I can't wait to watch more of this kind of thing and see
what's what.
If that was good, or what we're watching now is so
bad that it's lowered the expectations.
Yeah. Because I have a feeling that it was a great match and you know, you had 2 guys who knew completely what they were doing. I wouldn't say run of the mill, but I've never heard that match talked about.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I assume we're going to see a few more of those. So I think the goalposts are going to move quite a lot as we watch more of this.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not keen to do like an out of 10 thing.
Yeah.
So I think what's 7 now, in like as we go along, we'll like further down the line that'll be like a 4. But I mean, we'll see how it makes out. And yeah, so up next is back to the standard formula. So we'll try and crank that one out a little bit faster than this. Well, you know, whatever, Mike. But so yeah, so that'll be out relatively shortly. Tune in again, and yeah, have yourselves a nice little evening.